everybody. Thank you so much for joining the call and taking the time to sort of learn a little bit more about Ashurst. My name is Hannah and I am an HR consultant here at Ashurst, and I look after everybody that falls under that early careers umbrella, so interns, paralegals, clerks and graduates, mainly for the Sydney and the Canberra offices, but today I will do my best to give you a more holistic overview of our national processes. So the agenda for our little prezzo, I've got a couple of slides here just to sort of go over who we are and what our early careers programs are. I've invited Christina Juyon-Lee, who is a graduate in our Canberra office, to join us for some Q&A. So I'd love for this session to be sort of a little bit more interactive. I don't want to kill you by death by PowerPoint, so we'll do our best not to do that. I do have some pre-prepared questions for Christina to sort of kick us off, but absolutely happy to take as many questions as we can during this time. And they can be anything from sort of the recruitment process to what life is like at Ashurst, et cetera, et cetera. So let's dive in. So this is sort of just a quick sort of overview, sort of to give you an idea of the scale of our firm. We've got 29 offices all over the world. Our head offices are in Sydney and in London, but for the purposes of today, I will just refer to sort of our Australian offices, because that is where these early careers programs are. So here we go. These are our global divisions. So we have 5. I won't sort of sit there and go through each team under these divisions for you. But we have corporate, finance, funds and restructuring, projects and real estate, and a strategic advisory. Those 4 are sort of our sort of bread and butter legal teams, if you will. The 5th division that we have is Ashurst Advance, and that is our new law division. They are based in Glasgow and in Brisbane. I'll just touch on the global divisions again. So corporate, finance, funds and restructuring, projects and real estate, strategic advisory are our 4 sort of bread and butter pillars. And then the 5th pillar is Ashurst Advance, which I mentioned before was our new law division based in Brisbane in Australia. So this might be a little bit tricky to read for you guys, so I'll just sort of try and zoom in where I can. Okay, so these are our early careers programs in Australia. So, and this is just for legal, because we also have risk and IT early careers programs too. We do have internships, but we are partnered with career trackers for First Nation internships and career seekers for refugee and asylum seeker internships in our Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane offices. Aside from that, we have the usual seasonal clerkships, so they're available in each Australian office. Sydney and Canberra are on the singular clerkship model, so that's just for the summertime period. Melbourne and Brisbane and Perth have 2 to 3 winter, spring and or summer clerkships, which you can apply for. Depending on which office you go through, you can have either 1 or 2 rotations in different practice teams. And those people who complete the clerkship then feed into our graduate program. Our graduate program goes for 12 months. It is 3 times 4-month rotations in different teams. You have the ability to put in your preferences for which teams. We don't just assign them randomly. We pay for your in-house PLT course, and then you're admitted as a lawyer. Once that's all completed and the program's all over after 12 months, you are then settled into a team, and I'm no longer your HR contact, which is a little bit sad, but that's when you sort of go in and flourish in the firm. Finally, I'd be a very bad HR rep if I didn't give a little plug for our virtual experience program. So we don't offer work experience as such for students, but we do have a virtual experience program which is accessible on our website through a provider called Forage. That exists solely for you as students. It's 5 different modules that have been written by senior associates and partners here at the firm based on tasks that we would ask a early careers person, so a clerk or a graduate, to complete. You upload your answer to the task, and then you get to download sort of a perfect answer, if you will. I don't have any access to sort of what you upload. All I get is your name and your email address from it. This exists solely for you guys. So if you are interested in sort of what it's like at Ashurst, what life is like and what the work is like as a junior lawyer, I encourage you to check it out. So those were sort of my brief little slides about sort of Ashurst and who we are and what our early careers programs are. What I might do is I'm going to introduce Christina Lee, who is a graduate in our Canberra office. As I said before, I'd love for this session to be as as interactive as possible. So any questions that you might have about us or what it's like here, please feel free to pop them into the chat. So Christina, I might stop sharing my screen now so that we can sort of, there we go, so that we can sort of have each other's faces rather than just a random screen. So Christina, would you like to sort of give an introduction to yourself and sort of your experience at Ashurst to date?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Christina and I studied law at the ANU here in Canberra. I studied law and arts and majored in human rights, and I clerked in the Canberra office in 2020. So I rotated through two teams, dispute resolution and employment. And all of last year I paralegaled in the dispute resolution team, and now I'm back as a grad in the employment team.
Excellent. Okay. So we've got some pre-prepared questions for Christina. So I'll fire away at some of those. Then what I'll do is I'll refer to the chat box just to see if we've had any questions come through to you. So Christina, can you sort of talk the group through what kind of work would a seasonal clerk be doing at their clerkship in your team?
Yes. So in the disputes team and the employment team, I learned how to write advices to our clients, lots of research tasks, preparing research memos for the partners and the lawyers in the team. I also got to attend a hearing, got to sit in many conferences with the clients or the opposing counsel, and I got to also work on many pro bono matters, and I attended social activities throughout the firm.
Awesome. Thank you, Christina. Okay, so we've got some questions coming through here, which is great. There was a quick question that said sort of what actually is a clerkship and what does it involve? You sort of touched on that a little bit, Christina, but could you sort of give, I guess, a more broad answer?
Yeah, I also didn't really know what a clerkship was until I started applying for clerkships, so I totally understand if it's a bit confusing. I'd say it's like an internship at a law firm, and you're like an intern working in a team, and you're assigned to a particular lawyer and a partner, and you go to matters with them, and basically it's to introduce you to the firm and to see if you are the right fit, or if you can also see yourself working in a commercial law firm.
Yep, that's a really good sort of broad answer to that question. There's also sort of there are questions coming through about sort of application dates. So they depend on which office you're looking at. So yeah, because of the different singular and multiple clerkship models that we run, I would refer to our website. But if they're sort of, the application dates are usually June, July, August, depending on what office you're looking at running, at applying for, sorry. But all those dates are on our website, so definitely check those out. Okay, we also have another question here to Christina. Did you have experience in other firms? If so, why did you choose Ashurst, or how did you end up at Ashurst?
That's a big question. No, I did not have any experiences in other law firms. Ashurst was the first law firm I worked at, and I chose Ashurst because of the interview process. I interviewed at quite a few firms, but Ashurst was the one that I felt like I could see myself here for the next few years, and I really clicked with my interview. So I think that's a really good sign if you're sitting in the room and you already feel like you're part of the team, but you just met them. So I will touch upon it when we speak more about the clerkship process and tips for the application process. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, great segue. Do you want to talk about sort of the application process and sort of tips for the people on the call?
Yeah, I found it really daunting and kind of like very stressful having to sit down and look at the past few years of your life and go, have I done enough for to get a clerkship? And you might feel like you don't have many law firm experiences, and I felt like that. I didn't have a commercial background. I had a broader social justice background, and I learned that that's totally fine. The interviews aren't looking for someone who's already a perfect commercial lawyer. They want to see if you have what kind of experiences you've had and whether you can pull those skills and traits out and apply them in a law firm setting. So I think when you're looking at your experiences, like internships you've done or competitions at uni or volunteer experiences, think about teamwork or how proactive you were, time management and things. They all relate. So also don't be discouraged. Like throughout the process, have pure confidence in yourself that you've done enough, and I think just being calm throughout the interview and not looking so nervous, and just knowing
that does help.
Just knowing that you've done enough and you deserve to be there if you've made it all the way to the interview process.
Absolutely. And I guess there's also sort of another relevant question to what we're talking about now from Tanya. What kind of experience did you have going into applying for the clerkships, and how did you highlight this during the process?
Okay, so I thought about the stuff that I did at uni, so competitions I entered through law school, so they could be directly linked to the law firm. But I also thought about my volunteer experiences that I did in Australia or overseas, and really they were curious about why I chose those experiences. So I think it would be good to not to just think about how the amazing things you've done, but to think about why you chose those particular experiences and what you got out of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And I think I also sort of just come because I'm the person that reads your application, so I'll just sort of come in over the top of that. A question that I often get sort of, at uni careers fairs and things is does it matter if I've had legal experience? Not at Ashurst. So it's a bit rich to ask for legal work experience at an entry level position. So having had a job helps. So it's really important to sort of be able to sort of answer those behavioural based competency questions in an interview with real life experience. Hospo, retail, all those sorts of roles are all awesome. The reason that I sort of like to see those is because there's a lot of sort of transferable skills that you learn. So, generally speaking, in retail and hospo, you've got great customer service skills, which relate really well to sort of client relationship management skills as well. You can talk about how you've been able to sort of juggle lots of different things at once, competing priorities. All of those sorts of skills are absolutely applicable to life at Ashurst. So, Tanya, I hope that answers your question. Nicole, to Christina, why did you choose Ashurst, and what do you think makes Ashurst different to other firms?
Ooh. There's one particular episode that made me go, oh, I really want to work here. So at the round 2 interview, the managing partner interviewed me, and right before we went into the interview, he asked me, like, would you like to be called Christina or Ju-Yun, which is my Korean name? And I don't get that question asked often. It's usually people just go by the English name because it's easier to pronounce. And then I felt like there were episodes like that throughout the interview where I felt really valued. He asked me questions about my volunteer experiences and what motivates me in life. And it wasn't just about, oh, your achievements, the competitions you've won. It was more like they were really interested in me as a person. And I think that's what I love about Ashurst. Everyone's so different. They're from all different cities in Australia or globally, and everyone fits in so well, even though we're so different. It's like a big puzzle piece, especially in the Canberra office, where it's quite a smaller office. So you really get to know everyone, but then you also feel like this is a huge international law firm. That's why I chose Ashurst.
I love that you said that everybody's so different, but everybody sort of fits in so well. I often sort of answer questions to people about sort of what it's like to work here. It is a global law firm. There's lots of different personalities here. It takes all different kinds of people to make the world go around. But I think it's really obvious here that there's sort of a respect for the fact that you don't have to be the same. You don't have to think the same. You can be different, and then that's okay. And I certainly sort of feel that working where I work and in sort of in the HR team, and more broadly as well. I'm based in the Sydney office, but I spend a lot of time down in Canberra, and it's sort of, you feel that wherever you go, I think.
Definitely.
Okay, we'll refer back to sort of the Q&A over here. Are the virtual programs available at a set date or available to complete at any time? They're available to complete at any time. So sort of I'll ring back in. It's entirely for you. It is there to help you understand a little bit more about Ashurst, and so it's available to complete at any time, and you can do it at your own pace as well. So you can start it and then not pick it up again for a whole year. So yes, please check it out if you are interested. Nicole's asked another question. What support did you receive in the process of your clerkship/graduate journey, especially during COVID-19 times?
A very good question. COVID was a big thing during my clerkship application process. So thankfully I got to be in the office during my clerkship and my grad program now, so it hasn't affected me in that way. But because we were going through a remote application process in Sydney and Canberra, we were assigned buddies. So there would be a lawyer that's assigned to you as your clerkship application buddy. And I had a particular lawyer in the dispute resolution team who was constantly in touch with me throughout the process. And I got to have my interviews in person. So he would meet me before the interview and just prepare me and make me calm down, and really also debrief after the interview as well, which I found was really supportive, and that has continued on. As a clerk and as a grad, I have a buddy. I also have a supervising lawyer and a supervising partner. So I've never felt like I'm alone. I can ask questions to anyone, and really that's my favorite thing about Ashurst.
It's a nice warm and fuzzy answer. I love it. Okay, next question. Hi, Hannah. When you look at the cover letter and the resume, what do you look for in it? So I sort of touched on, I'll talk about the resume a little bit. So I sort of touched on having had a job helps. It's also great to sort of see when people have obviously been juggling lots of different things at once. So having a job, going to uni, obviously, extracurricular activities, volunteering, all of that sort of stuff. That's what we often see come through in our applications, and it does sort of tell me that you're able to juggle multiple things at once, which is good. In terms of the cover letter, sort of it's your chance to sort of tell me about you and sort of what drives you, and what achievements that you've had to date. I wouldn't regurgitate your resume. That's not what a cover letter is there for. A cover letter is there to sort of talk to me about the things that you've learned, in the positions that you've held in your resume. For example, what transferable skills can you apply to a graduate role at Ashurst? The other thing that I think is really, really important in a cover letter is to talk about why Ashurst specifically. The panelists previously, an hour ago, mentioned that it's really obvious when you can take out the word Ashurst and put in another law firm's name. It needs to be much more specific than that, and also thinking about the office that you're applying for too. So different offices will obviously look after different things. So for example, Christina Gion is in the Canberra office, and they service mainly Commonwealth clients. So sort of just being aware of, where your application is going and who's reading it, and sort of specifically what is actually driving you to sort of want to apply to that particular firm. Because once you're interested in us, I'm interested in you. So I hope that answers that question. I'm just also conscious we've only got 1 minute left.
There's a few questions in the chat as well. I know.
Oh, in the chat as well. There's lots.
Yeah.
Any questions that we don't answer, please feel free to link with me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I think we're out of time, guys. So please feel free to link with me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about Ashurst or the application process. And if there is a question that you have that I'm not able to answer, happy to find that answer out for you from somebody else as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Hannah and Christina. That was really
Jeremy,
insightful.
That went so quickly.
It always does. And I really appreciate you sticking to time for me.
No worries at all.
Greatly appreciated. But look, thank you so much. It was really good to learn a little bit more about Ashurst. I learned a few new things there as well. And I'm sure that the students that are here watching today have got something out of this too. So thank you so much.
No
really
worries.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Apologies for not being able to get to your questions, but link with me on LinkedIn. Thank you guys so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Hannah. Thanks,
Bye.
Christina.